If you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy this. Let's dive in. I never meant for things to spiral so far. It started as a playful jab, something to poke fun at my husband. Colin. I chuckled when he said, "Babe, I bet our new neighbour has the biggest build on this block." I expected him to scoff and move on. Instead, one comment changed everything. And now I can't take back what I've done. I swear, it was just a joke, a silly remark to tease Colin after our new neighbour moved in. I didn't know it would ignite a chain reaction. Looking back, though, maybe it wasn't just a joke. Maybe it was something I secretly craved. It was a balmy Saturday evening when I first noticed him. Our new neighbour, Andre, was in his driveway, shirtless, unloading boxes from his truck. He was tall, his dark skin gleaming under the setting sun, exuding confidence without effort. As a freelance graphic designer working from home, I had plenty of time to glance out the window. I nudged Colin, who was sipping a beer on our porch. "Looks like we've got some new eye candy next door." I smirked. Colin, a construction engineer who spent long days at job sites, rolled his eyes. "Yeah, I've already clocked the guy." That's when I leaned in, half laughing, half teasing, and whispered, "Look at him. He's probably got the most impressive physique on this street." Colin choked on his beer, coughing and chuckling. "Jesus." "Samantha, what's that about?" I laughed too, but a warm flush crept up my neck. The truth is, I kept looking not just once, not just casually. There was something about Andre's presence. As a personal trainer, he moved with purpose, catching my eye and holding it, like he knew something I didn't. That night, Colin brought it up in bed. "You really think he's got me beat?" I turned to him, surprised. "Oh my God, you're still on that?" I giggled. "Colin, I was messing with you. Don't be silly." But he didn't laugh. He pulled me closer that night, more intense than usual, like my comment had sparked a need to prove himself. I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it. I liked that he felt challenged. What I didn't see then was how I'd changed too. Over the next week, I noticed Andre more. He waved when I grabbed the mail, flashing a disarming smile. He was out in his yard again, shirtless, his muscles flexing as he trimmed hedges. One afternoon, I caught him tinkering with his car. He slid out from underneath, sweat shining on his arms, and nodded. "Need something?" "Samantha." My stomach fluttered. He knew my name. "No." I stammered, laughing too loudly. "Just checking the mail." "Mail must be fascinating." He grinned. That night at dinner, I mentioned Andre again. Another playful jab. "Colin, I think Andre's flirting with me." Colin's eyes narrowed. "You want him to?" I shrugged, biting my lip. "Maybe a bit. It's nice to be noticed." Colin went quiet, his jaw tight. Later, I caught him staring out the window at Andre, who was lifting weights in his garage. My pulse quickened. Things shifted after that. "Colin, exhausted from long days at construction sites, started asking questions. Talked to him today. What did he say? His jealousy was obvious, and instead of pulling back, I leaned in. I wore fitted leggings when watering the lawn. I lingered outside longer. I smiled at Andre more than I should have. One day, as I passed his driveway, he said, "Samantha, you know your husband watches when we talk." Right? My heart raced. Or maybe you're the one watching me? I shot back. He chuckled. Maybe both. That night, Colin's tone changed. "This isn't funny anymore." "Samantha." I raised an eyebrow. "What? You don't like him flirting?" He looked at me, tense. He acts like he wants something to happen. I softened my voice. "What if I did?" He blinked. "What?" I held his gaze. "You think about it, don't you? Me with him? Be honest." Colin didn't answer, but his eyes betrayed him. That night, I realized the joke had stopped being a joke. I knew what I was doing, and I knew Colin was watching. Everything changed from teasing to temptation, from fantasy to something dangerous. It wasn't just a game anymore. It was a need. It began around 800 Paul. The summer air was thick. The neighbourhood hushed except for crickets and faint TV murmurs. Colin was on the porch, beer in hand, lost in thought or maybe in me. I stepped out in a snug sundress, barefoot, no bra, pretending to tend the garden. I felt his eyes on me, the air crackling. Andre was in his garage, shirtless, his skin glowing under the light. He was lifting weights, sweat trailing down his chest, his arms bulging. He looked up as I approached. "You always show up when I'm training," he said, smiling. "Maybe I like the view," I replied, bolder than intended. He laughed, setting the weights down. "You flirting?" "Samantha." I glanced back, knowing Colin was watching, his posture stiff. "I think you like it when I flirt," I whispered. Andre stepped closer, his cologne mixing with sweat. "Your husband's not jealous?" I swallowed. "That's what makes it fun." He studied me, intrigued. "So, what's this about?" "Samantha." I didn't answer. I smiled and walked away, slowly, knowing Andre's eyes followed my hips, and Colin saw it all. That night, the silence in our bedroom was suffocating. Colin stared at the ceiling as I slipped into bed. His jaw clenched. "You mad?" I asked softly. He didn't respond. "You saw us talking, didn't you?" He finally turned. "What are you doing?" "Samantha." I faced him. "What do you think? You're pushing me, teasing me, trying to make me jealous." I shrugged. "Maybe I am." He sat up. "You want him?" I paused, then whispered, "I think about him." Colin exhaled sharply. "I think about what it'd be like," I continued, "to let him touch me, to be with him instead of you." "Stop," he said, his voice strained. But I didn't. He looks at me like he wants me. I feel it. And you know what's crazy? I feel guilty and thrilled. Colin grabbed me, kissing me fiercely, like he was erasing Andre or claiming me. I didn't resist, but my eyes stayed open, staring out the window toward Andre's garage. The next day, I crossed a line. I texted Andre free tonight. He replied, "You tell me, still playing or breaking rules?" My fingers shook as I typed. Meet me behind the shed. Midnight. I didn't tell Colin. I lay beside him that night, pretending normalcy. At 11:55 p.m, I slipped out, barefoot, in a long t-shirt and lace panties, my heart pounding. Andre was waiting by the fence, silent. He pulled me close, and I felt everything: his lips on my neck, his hands on my waist. I gasped, my body overriding reason. Then, a snap. I looked toward the house. Colin stood at the window, watching. He didn't move, didn't yell, didn't stop us. He just watched. That moment broke me. I couldn't sleep. Colin had seen it all: the kiss, the breathless pull, the forbidden heat behind the shed. We didn't go further, but it didn't matter. When I crept back, I slid into bed, my lips tingling. Colin lay still, but I knew he was awake. Morning brought no explosion. Colin made coffee calmly. "Want eggs?" I blinked. "You're not talking about last night." He avoided my eyes. "What's to say? You chose." I felt small. "So that's it." He looked at me. "No. Samantha, it's the start." That afternoon, Andre texted. "Last night wasn't a one-off. You know that." I hesitated, unsure who I was. Days blurred. By day, I designed logos, played suburban wife. By night, I met Andre behind cars, in the shed, once in the pool house down the street, Colin's porch light burning. It wasn't just desire, it was addiction. Then, the twist I never saw. One night, after Andre and I parted, sweaty and breathless in the dark, a voice cut through. Not Colin's, a woman's. "Andre." I froze. A tall, dark-skinned woman stepped forward, her eyes blazing. "Nia," she glared from me to Andre. "You didn't tell her," she said icily. "Tell me what I whispered." My heart sinking. Nia's smile held no warmth. "I'm his wife." My world tilted. Andre stood mute, like a caught child. "You thought you were special," Nia continued. "He does this with every bored housewife. You're just another mark." My knees buckled. The thrill, the danger, it was a lie. I staggered home, heart shattered. Colin was on the porch. "You okay?" he asked, knowing. Tears stung my eyes. "He's married." Colin nodded. "I found out yesterday. Figured you deserved the truth." I sank onto the steps. "Why didn't you stop me?" He sipped his beer. "Sometimes you have to live a fantasy to break it." The next morning, I couldn't face the mirror. Guilt choked me, not just for betraying Colin, but for believing Andre's charm. I thought I was in control, but I was played. I called in sick from a design project, unable to focus. Colin left for a construction site without a word, his silence louder than any fight. That afternoon, I saw Nia outside, heading to her car in a crisp blazer. As a bank employee, she carried herself with poise, but her eyes were tired. I swallowed my shame and approached. "Nia, can we talk?" She paused, wary. What's left to say I exhaled. I didn't know he was married. "I'm sorry." Her laugh was bitter. "You're not the first. Andre's been pulling this for years, Newtown. New women. I thought moving here would change him." Her voice cracked, and I saw her pain mirrored mine. "Why stay?" I asked. She shrugged. "Love's messy. You know that." We stood in silence. Two women burned by the same man. "Don't let this define you," she said before leaving. Her words lingered. That night, Colin came home late, dirt-streaked from the site. I couldn't avoid it anymore. "We need to talk." He dropped his bag, exhausted. "Now you want to talk?" His voice was sharp. "You saw me with him," I said, trembling. "Why didn't you fight for me?" He laughed. "Cold. Fight, you chose him. Samantha. Every glance, every text, every midnight sneak out. You think I didn't notice I flinched? I was stupid. I thought it was a game." His eyes darkened. "A game? You broke us." I stepped closer, tears falling. "I know, but you let me. You watched and did nothing." He slammed his hand on the counter. "Because I trusted you. I thought you'd stop, that you'd choose me." His voice broke. "But you didn't." The room felt too small. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I didn't know it would go this far." Colin shook his head. "You didn't want to know. You wanted him. And I..." He stopped, voice thick. I kept imagining it. You with him. It tore me apart. But I couldn't look away. I froze. You wanted to see it. He looked away, ashamed. "I don't know. Maybe." "It's messed up." Silence fell, heavy with our confessions. "Can we fix this?" I asked. He met my eyes. Raw. "I don't know. Samantha, I don't know if I can trust you again." We started therapy the next week. The sessions were brutal. Colin's anger, my guilt, our shared shame laid bare. The therapist pushed us to rebuild trust, but every quiet dinner felt like a test. I stopped looking at Andre's house. His garage stayed closed. Nia's car often gone. I heard they were separating, but I didn't ask. I focused on work, pouring myself into design projects, trying to reclaim who I was. One evening, months later, I found Colin on the porch, staring at the stars. "What are you thinking?" I asked. Hesitant. He sighed. "About us. About whether I can let this go." I sat beside him, heart heavy. "I'm trying." Colin, I want us back. He nodded, but his eyes were distant. I know, but it's not just you. I let it happen too. I should have stopped you, said something, anything. I touched his hand. We both messed up, but we're here now. He squeezed my hand, a small gesture, but it felt like a lifeline. Nia moved out a month later. I saw her loading boxes, her face unreadable. I waved, and she nodded. A silent acknowledgement. I wondered if she'd found peace, or if she, like me, was still haunted by Andre's betrayal. I never saw him again. Rumours said he left town, chasing another fresh start. Colin and I are still trying. Some days, we laugh like before, his hand brushing mine as we cook. Others, I catch him staring out the window, and I wonder if he sees me with Andre, if that image will ever fade. I see it too. In my dreams, Andre's voice, his touch, the thrill of danger. But I also see the woman I became, not a cheater, not a victim, but someone who touched fire and survived. I'm rebuilding, one day at a time. My designs are bolder now, my voice stronger. Colin's working shorter hours, trying to be present. We're not the same couple we were, but maybe that's okay. Maybe we're something new, scarred but standing. I don't know if we'll make it, but I know I won't stop fighting for us. And in my reflection, I see her, the woman who fell, burned, and rose again. Thanks for listening. See you next time.